Welcome back to Cowboy Survival. I'm Richard, and today we're going to talk about the Swiss Tech Lodern Kit. It's basically a fire kit. It's sold at Walmart for $29.95. It's a fairly new item. It's been out a few months, but I thought I'd get one and tear it apart and take a look at it. It's pretty cool. It's packaged really nice. It's got some interesting things in it that you don't usually see in a fire kit. It's also got a couple things in it that I probably would never use, and so we're going to take them out and possibly replace them with something different. So let's just get into the Swiss Tech Lodern Kit. Okay, before we open this thing up, let's talk a little bit about it. It comes from Swiss Tech. It's sold at Walmart, as I said, for $29.95. It's kind of a nice, compact little item. Now, when I went to Walmart and looked it up on my app, it told me it was on aisle I-21. So I went to aisle I-21, and that's where they have all the Ozark Trail stuff, and they have a lock case with a lot of other type of things in it, but it wasn't on aisle I-21. Well, I know Walmart well enough to know that when they have popular items, they sometimes don't actually put them out on the shelf. So I went to the knife counter and I asked, and the guy opened up a locked drawer down below, and sure enough, they had two of them. So I got one and brought it home. We're going to open it up. It comes in this really nice presentation box, so if you're going to give it as a gift, it's really, really nice. Now, I haven't actually taken this out of the box yet at all. I've opened the flap, but I haven't taken anything out of the box. So you're going to see me unboxing this in real time, and you'll see my real-time response to everything that's in this box. So this is the box that it comes in. You've noticed it on the front. It's really nicely packaged, glossy cardboard. It's very heavy-duty cardboard, I think. It's a nice box. It's going to have a magnetic opener over on the side, but there is going to be a seal here and a seal here that you're going to have to cut. I've already cut mine because I did look inside the box. Now, on the front, it tells you that it's got a fixed blade knife, a tinder scraper, a pocket bellows, a flint wheel sparker, a magnesium block, and an EDC carry pouch. That's what it says it comes with it. On the back, it lists those same items again here. So we'll take a look and see what that really means and what all is in this thing when we open it up. Now, to open it, once you cut the seals, simply lift the magnetic end and you open it up. Box is very, very nicely packaged. What you see is this nice bright red interior, which is typical of Swiss Tech. Again, it's going to show you all of the individual items listed here with each of this. It says the fixed blade knife, tells you about it, tells you about the tinder scraper, the magnesium block, the telescoping bellows, which, by the way, is going to come in its own little tube, a flint wheel sparking tool, which is actually come with 3 spare what they call tinder rods, which is basically just fire starter material. And you're going to have an everyday carry pouch, which is made out of waxed canvas. So I'm going to cut these seals because I have not cut them yet. So I'll just cut those. And then I will cut this one down here as well. Let's put that knife back where it belongs in the sheath. That was my new BPS Bushmate. I really like it. It's kind of a really cool knife. I will tell you that this plastic is really hard to get out of here. So what you need to do is kind of take your knife blade, I think, and pry that plastic out. It doesn't come out real nice and easy like you wish it would. It does have a hole right here that you can feel the scales on the knife that comes with this thing. So I will pull this out. And we'll set this over to the side. It's got some more plastic in here. We'll take that out. So this is your knife that it comes with. It's got a little thumb place right here which you can put your thumb on and pull that out. The blade is kind of weird looking. It's not a blade like I'm really used to. It's pretty sharp, I'll be honest with you. That blade is very sharp, much sharper than I thought it would be. The blade shape is just odd to me. I don't really care for blades with these here, but in this case, this might be useful because you can use this to take some wood and to scrape shavings off with the wood. You can scrape that really nice and get some shavings with that wood. But you don't really need that because of another item that comes inside this kit. So it's really nice. It's a full tang knife. Comes with the G10 scales. Let's see what kind of steel it's got. It doesn't tell me. It says Oz 8 on it. Maybe that's a kind of steel. I'm not sure. Again, it's extremely sharp, so be very, very careful when you take this out of the sheath. This is not what I would call a a hunting knife or a bushcraft knife. This is a utility knife specifically for this kit. Now, it says that this tinder is flammable. This paracord is flammable. I don't know that it's any more flammable than the other paracord, but it's there if you need it, I suppose. Paracord is my last resort for trying to start a fire, though it can be used for that. So you take the pouch out, and it's got a couple items in it. It's got back here, it's got a pouch, a little holder back here, and then there's got a little sticker of some sort, not sure what that is. It's got, let's see what else is in there. There's your 3 extra little fire starting items for your sparker. Let's talk about the sparker for a second. So you pull the sparker out, it's got a little pocket clip on it, which if you're going to keep it in there, I think you would want this to sort of go in and be over the elastic, sort of maybe like that. But you don't have to. It just keeps it from falling out, I suppose. So you've got a little sparker here. Let's see how this thing works. It does put off a spark, so that's good. Now, the cool thing about this is when I open it up, I can unscrew it, and it's got a watertight compartment with a little fire starter in it. This is one of those little fire plugs. You can cut it in half. You could break the whole thing up, but it's a real nice little item. And it's got these O-rings, so that is waterproof. So that will always stay dry in there, so you'll always have a dry fire starter. And as I said, it does come with 3 extras, which you can just put back in this back compartment. Next, it's got this is not a ferro rod. This is a magnesium block with a ferro rod on the side. Now, let's see if this knife is good enough to spark that ferro rod. So we're going to take and see. Now, this is a coated knife, so I don't know if it'll work or not. It's not even, it's serrated on the back, so I'm not even sure it'll work. But, yeah, it does. Look at that. A nice spark off of that. So that works very well. You can get a spark using that knife. I was wondering how they were going to do that. You also have here the magnesium that you can then take this little scraper right here, or the one on the back, and you can scrape magnesium off and get some magnesium scrapings that you can use later. Now, the last item that comes in the next item I'll show you is this. This is kind of interesting, and we'll demonstrate it in a moment. It is a tinder scraper. So it looks like a cheese grater, doesn't it? And that's exactly what it is, to be honest with you. It's just a piece of aluminum with some holes cut in it, but it can be used to scrape wood, and I'll demonstrate this in a moment. Now, the last item is going to be this item here, and this is your fire bellows, I imagine. Yes, there it is. So it comes right out of there. So you have a fire bellows. It goes out to about 19 inches. It's got a hole in this end and a hole in this end. You put the big end in your mouth and blow on the fire. Now, if you've watched my video for any time at all, you will know what I think of fire bellows. I think these things are inherently dangerous to be using out in the bush. Now, the reason for that isn't that they don't work. They do work. You can blow into this, it'll blow oxygen into your fire, and you don't have to get your face down close to the embers. The problem is, every time you breathe out, you have to breathe in. And if you forget to take your mouth off of this thing, when you breathe in, you're going to breathe embers all the way up this tube into your lungs, and you could burn your lungs permanently. I don't think these things should be sold. I think they're dangerous. And I never, ever, ever keep these in the kits when they come. That will be a throwaway item. Matter of fact, we'll just throw it away now. And I'm going to use this for something else, and I think you're going to find it really interesting what I use this for. Now, all this stuff fits into this pouch. So I'm going to take this. Here's our pouch. We're going to put the tube here. We're going to put the sparker right in the center. We will put the magnesium rod right in here. By the way, that's like $1.99 at Harbor Freight, so those things are pretty cheap. And you'll take your grater and you'll stick it right in here. And honestly, there's plenty of room for other items when you zip up this nice canvas pouch. They say it's wax canvas. That doesn't seem like wax canvas to me, but maybe it is. And you've got you got an area back in here. You can put stuff. You take that, close it up, and we're just going to zip that closed. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put the knife on the outside of this. And let me get my sheath because I dropped it. So here's the sheath. We'll put the knife back in the sheath. Never put the blade towards your hand. That'll go in there. And this will fit right down in the front of this slot right here. And you can put that right there and it'll stay. So you've got a nice little fire kit. The next thing I want to do is I want to put some of this stuff through its paces and see how well this stuff works or doesn't work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these things in two. Let's see how good that knife works. My goodness, it just sliced through that like nothing, didn't it? Wow. Okay, so we'll put this knife back in the sheath. Set it right here. Now, I've got this item here, and I'm going to pull it apart. And the problem with these fire plugs that I've always had is that they're really kind of hard to open up. I sometimes pound it with the pommel end of a large bushcraft knife. But that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the sparker, and we're going to see if we can't light this with just the sparker by itself. So we're going to sit there. Well, whoop, there we go. Yeah, lit pretty good. Whoop. There it goes. So that lit pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. We'll just toss that into the dirt down there, and it'll be fine. Now, next thing I want to do is we're going to try the magnesium fire starter. So I'm going to take my knife out, and I'm actually going to slice this a little bit down the middle, not the whole way, it's partially, so we can open it up a little bit better and get to some of those fibers a little bit easier. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to scrape some of that magnesium off. Let's see if that'll work. This will work. The saw blade. So it's got some magnesium. I don't know if that's really going to help or not. So let's just take this and we're going to try and light that with this blade. It's not working too well, so let's try a little bit more with the magnesium. I'm not a big fan of magnesium rods. I think they're too much work for what you get out of them, but we're going to give this a try. That's not a very good ferro rod either. It looks like it's wearing out really, really fast. So we'll try to do this some more. I got a fair amount of magnesium there. Let's see if we can't get this stuff to light a little bit. There it goes. So it took a little bit, but we were able to start a fire with this knife, which is pretty good at striking this ferro rod. Not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's a little bitty ferro rod. It's not very hefty. It's not going to last a long time. But for an emergency fire kit, that would get the job done. Now, that's the only two ways to start a fire using this kit. Using the little fire starter that it comes with, and you only get 4 of those plugs total, and I just burned one of them. The sparker or the magnesium and striker. So is that really an adequate fire kit? Well, I don't know. It might be. Now, let's also look at the next item. There's actually one more item I forgot about here for a second, and that is the wood scraper. So let's go see how this wood scraper works. So the first thing you're going to say to yourself when you see this is they included a cheese grater. Well, they did. But you just take your wood and you just work your wood on this. It's going to scrape off a lot of shavings. Let's see, you got quite a little pile of shavings I'm building up here. So you can build up quite a little pile of shavings there just by scraping on this scraper. So you got a nice little pile of shavings. Now, what do I do with that pile of shavings? Well, again, we're going to go back to our ferro rod and our magnesium block. And then what we'll do, we'll flip this over. We will take our ferro rod and we'll strike it with this. See if we can't light that sawdust. I'm just not sure that that is going to be a really effective tool in the field for starting a fire. We got the sawdust to light, but I'm just not sure that it's going to be really, really useful. So this thing is kind of cute. I think it's kind of a gimmick. I'm not really sure that that's worth all the effort if you just have a good fire starter. Now, what's nice about this is you can process wood. If you run out of other fire starters, you can use this to process additional tinder in the form of sawdust for starting a fire. However, in my experience, sawdust has never been a real good fire starting medium. It just isn't. If you could compress it somehow, it might be, but it's just not a good medium for starting fire. So I'm just not real sure how good a tool this is really going to be. I'll keep it in the fire kit, but I'm just not sure how good a tool it's going to be. This magnesium rod is kind of very labor intensive to scrape magnesium off. Unless you had a really big pile of magnesium, I'm not sure it's really going to help much. This ferro rod is already wearing down. It's a very inexpensive, cheap ferro rod. So there's some improvements I would make to this kit. I think that would make it much better. Let's go take a look at those. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to keep the sparker. That's kind of a neat item. And by the way, this is really similar to the Exotac sparker. And that Exotac sparker sells for about $30. So if you spend $30 on the kit and all you like out of it is the sparker, you've got your money out of it. Now, I like the pouch. I think the knife is okay. What I would do with this is I think I would use that to store a ferro rod. Now let me show you what the example I have. Now this example won't fit in there because it's got a handle on it, but you can buy just the bare ferro rod and just stick a ferro rod down in there. And I think that's exactly what I would do. I would use this to store a ferro rod in. A nice ferro rod, one that is big enough that I can actually get a good enough spark to start a fire. So this would be a ferro rod storage device right here is what that is for me. Now, the next thing I'm going to have is, because my ferro rod will be in there, so I'm not going to use this ferro rod, of course, but I would put a ferro rod in there, a bare one without a handle on it. Now, the next thing I would do, I think, is I would include in this kit a good old-fashioned lighter. Why not include a lighter? It just doesn't make sense. A lighter with a little bit of Gorilla Tape on the outside, that can go right in the back here along with this. Then I'm going to include some chapstick. Now, why do I want chapstick? Well, I'm going to show you why I want the chapstick. So what I was looking for in my pocket were these two cotton balls. Now, cotton is an incredible fire starter. Now, if I take cotton, and I'm just going to demonstrate this here. So let's just see what happens if I light this cotton ball using my ferro rod. Oh. Now that thing is going to burn really, 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 really fast. Cotton ball. So I would carry the chapstick and cotton ball in, or to a couple cotton balls in my kit, in this fire kit. And the reason why is, if I take this cotton and then I add to it, I just take a big chunk of this chapstick, and I'm going to take this chapstick and I'm just going to rub this stuff in like crazy. And really get it rubbed into that cotton really well. Now, when I light this time, it's going to burn a whole lot slower and hotter than it did before. So it's a much better fire starter. So I can keep the chapstick, which can also be used for my lips, and a couple cotton balls in this kit, and that will greatly enhance my ability to make fire. So that's been burning several minutes, and I really don't want to wait for it to burn out. That will burn for about a total of 5 to 7 minutes with that chapstick in it. And it's a really, really effective way to start a fire. Now, how do we use this grater more effectively? And I've shown this before in another video, but these little fire starters, these Sweet fire starters from UCO, are really, really great. Now, you can just light it if you want to, and you get a whole big, like 7 minutes. But what if you didn't want to use the whole thing at once? Well, it's pretty easy to do. Simply take this grater, right, and you want to do it with the little V's down. And I'm going to take the bottom of this thing, and I'm going to scrape this thing. This is a biodegradable fibrous material. And you can see I've got a little pile of it right here. It's really nice. Now, watch what happens when I lay a spark to this. That scraping from that would be enough to help you get a fire starter, and you wouldn't have to use up the entire fire starter, Sweet fire starter match in order to get that fire going. You'd still have the hot part and the striker part left if you needed to use it, but scraping some off the bottom turns out to be a really good way to get a fire going. Well, there it is, the Swiss Tech Lodern Fire Kit, available at Walmart for $29.95. This is what it looks like when it's all put together. I think, is there $30 worth of stuff in here? Surely. You've got the sparker, which is easily worth as much as an Exotac sparker, I think. You've got the grater, which is easily worth $5 or $10. You got a knife, and you've got the pouch. So even if you don't like the bellows or the magnesium rod or magnesium block, and you start to throw those out, you've still got a pretty good little fire kit when you add in the lighter, the ferro rod, a couple of extra fire starters. I think you're in pretty good shape. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you hit that thumbs up button so that we get a like. And if you do subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell down at the bottom so that you're made aware when we issue new videos. In the meantime, remember what we always say, stay strong, stay prepared, and have an absolutely blessed day. We'll see you real soon right here on Cowboy Survival.